$0. That's not your salary. That's what you keep. You check it at 11:51 at night, lying in a room you rent, on a phone that isn't paid off, and the number just sits there. 0. It doesn't move, no matter how long you look at it. You are 23 years old. You have $34,000 in student loans, $2,800 on a credit card, and a paycheck on Friday that is already spoken for before it lands. You are not behind. You tell yourself you are not behind, but every grocery trip is a calculation. You put the good coffee back, you buy the store brand. You move $40 into savings and move it back out 4 days later, and nobody knows you did either thing. This is what zero feels like. Not dramatic, not a crisis, just a quiet hum of arithmetic running underneath everything you do. This is level 1. There are 7, and the distance between this one and the last one is not measured in dollars. You just don't know that yet. At 0, money is not a tool. Money is the air. Either you have enough or you are already suffocating, and most days you genuinely can't tell which. You watch your bank app more than your messages. You know your account number by heart. You feel rich for one single afternoon when a small raise hits, and then the car needs $600 in brakes and the afternoon is over. Here's the first rule. At 0, your relationship with money is entirely emotional, and emotional decisions compound in the wrong direction. The people who climb out are not the ones who earn more first. They are the ones who feel less about the number first. That is the whole shift. You stop letting the balance tell you who you are. $10,000. You are 26. You have never seen this number in an account with your name on it. Not once, not close. You check it 3 times the day it clears, not from anxiety this time, from disbelief. You don't spend it. You just let it sit there, and you feel something you have not felt in years. Not wealth, not freedom. Just a faint signal that the math is finally running in a different direction. You start reading. Not motivation, not thumbnails promising overnight money, actual books about how capital moves. You learn what an index fund is. You open an account and stare at it for 3 weeks before you put anything in. And then the market dips the day after you do, and you almost pull it out, and you don't. That right there is the moment. The second rule. The gap from 0 to 10,000 is psychological. The gap from 10,000 to 100,000 is behavioral. One is a feeling you survive. The other is a system you build. And you cannot build the second until you have lived through the first. $100,000. You are 31. You have a real emergency fund now, a retirement account you actually contribute to, an income that by every measure people would call fine. You are doing everything they told you to do. Max the match. Avoid lifestyle creep. Stay disciplined. And then one night around midnight, you open a spreadsheet and you run it out honestly, 40 years, conservative numbers, all of it. And you stare at the figure at the end and something shifts in your chest because it is enough. It is technically, mathematically on paper, fine. And it is not what you wanted. This is the stability trap. You have become excellent at not losing. You are not yet building anything. Here's the third rule. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A salary is a ceiling dressed up as a floor. So you start something on the side. You don't call it a business. It makes $400 one month, then $900, then $2,000, and you put every dollar of it back in for over a year. You eat the same lunches, you upgrade nothing. And then 1 year your investments return more money than you save from working, and you read that sentence twice. Because for the first time you understand in your body, not as a concept, what an asset actually is. Something that earns while you sleep. You want more of those. That is the shift. You stop asking how much you can earn and start asking how many things can earn on your behalf. $1 million, it happens on a Tuesday. Nothing ceremonial about it. Your account refreshes during a meeting that stopped mattering to you months ago, and the number has 7 figures, and you wait for the feeling everyone promised would arrive. Something does come. A quiet, private acknowledgement that the direction was right. And then, inside the same minute, a colder and clearer thought replaces it. $1 million at a 4% withdrawal is $40,000 a year. That is not freedom. That is a starting point. The identity crisis at the $1 million mark is not that you feel empty. It is that you finally admit you were never chasing the number. You were chasing the thing the number was supposed to prove about you. And now it exists. And it proves nothing except that you can reach a number. Here's the fourth rule. The milestone was never the destination. It was the proof of concept. You stopped going to the events you used to attend to feel like you were part of something. The networking happy hours where everyone describes what they're building and nobody mentions what it cost them. You don't have contempt for those rooms. You just don't need them anymore. The conversations you need now happen in smaller rooms with fewer people and no name badges. $10 million. The game changes texture entirely. It is no longer about building. It is about positioning. You are moving capital now, not working for it, and that distinction sounds small and is enormous. You are in one deal that might return 800,000 and another that might return nothing, and you are in both on purpose because one de-risks the other, and the relationship between them is the actual trade. This is a sentence you could not have understood 4 years ago. You start meeting people at 30 million, 50 million, and you study them the way you once studied the $10,000 mark from zero. Not what they own, how they think. The pace is slower, the patience is longer. They are not trying to win every hand. They are trying to stay at the table longer than everyone else. Here is the fifth rule. At 10 million, your reputation becomes a financial instrument. It earns returns independent of your decisions. Brokers bring you the deal before it hits the market. People take your offer over a higher one from a stranger because they know you close. That trust was never purchased. It was accumulated one kept promise at a time over a decade nobody was watching. And you notice something you don't say out loud. The gap between your decisions and the people they affect has started to widen, quietly, and you do not resist it. That is the part that should bother you more than it does. $50 million. The isolation at this level is not loneliness, it is something more specific. It is the condition of having a context that does not translate. The people who knew you at zero are not gone from your life. But you live in a different country now, and the customs do not export cleanly. Your daily concerns, trust structures, the slow transfer of frameworks rather than money simply do not live in the same language as a normal dinner conversation. You are not a different person. You are a person whose coordinates have moved past the edge of most maps. You give more than you ever have, and not entirely for the reasons you tell people. And you know that, and you do it anyway, because at this altitude giving is one of the few decisions left that still registers as a choice instead of an inevitability. Here is the sixth rule. Above 50 million, money stops measuring your worth and starts measuring your reach. The number no longer describes you, it describes what moves in your direction and how far. $100 million, you are in your 60s. The exact figure is known to maybe 4 people on Earth. You have not worked a conventional day in years, and you have not stopped working. You think in cycles now, not quarters, not years. Demographic cycles, credit cycles, the long arcs of things most people never look at. You position ahead of them the way a sailor reads weather 3 days out. You are sometimes wrong, and being wrong at this level means a position underperforms and you rebalance. It does not mean your life changes. There is a room somewhere with a handful of people in it who together hold enough to bend a small economy, and you speak for 4 minutes and you ask 2 questions, and the room moves around those questions and you leave before lunch. That is power at its most compressed. No volume, no spectacle, just a room that calibrates to your position. And here is the 7th rule, the one that took the whole climb to understand. You spend the first half of the journey trying to change the number and the second half realizing the number was always changing you. And somewhere right now, in a city you have passed through but cannot place, there's a 23-year-old opening a banking app for the first time tonight. The balance is zero. They are lying in a rented room, doing the math that doesn't work, putting the good coffee back, telling themselves they are being smart. They think this is a story about money. They think if they just make more of it, something will finally resolve. They do not know yet what actually has to resolve. They do not know what the climb will ask of them. Not in dollars, in distance, in the quiet, irreversible gap that opens between who you are at the bottom and who you have to become to reach the top. The machine doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't negotiate. It opens every morning and it takes whoever shows up, and whoever shows up consistently, patiently, without flinching, without stopping to ask the question everyone else is still asking. They compound. The money compounds. The decisions compound, and so does everything else you carry. The balance is zero. It always starts there. It always will. Most people hear all of this once and go back to the math that doesn't work. A few don't. If you're one of the few, the climb doesn't stop at this video. The next level is already in the playlist. Subscribe and keep going. I'll meet you further up.